Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Some really big news coming out of this Tennessee football program, parting ways with defensive coordinator Tim Banks. And look, this makes sense. Quite frankly, it had to happen. You look at what this defense looked like in 2025, and I get there were some personnel limitations. I get there were some significant injuries this Tennessee defense had to work through. It was inexcusable, to say the least, and that is part of being a coordinator in the SEC. You have those kind of seasons, you're probably going to be looking for work. Massive opportunity for this program, because if there was one thing made abundantly clear, as long as Josh Heupel is going to be at Tennessee going to be scoring points. In fact, I don't think the national media talked enough about what this Tennessee offense did. You take a quarterback post spring practice, you have to rebuild a whole entire offensive line. You go out in 2025, top 10 scoring offense in the country. Look, this Tennessee offense is going to score every single year. You get this hire right, you get the right guy running this defense, the sky's the limit for this program. You make zero mistake about it. Now, I spent the last 90 minutes looking at coordinators, trying to come up with, 5 coordinators that I think make a lot of sense. But I want to start with this really attractive coaching job. If I'm a defensive coordinator that's trying to take the next step and become a head coach, I want to connect myself to a head coach in a program that Josh Heupel's running. The second part is look at the way Tennessee's acquiring talent. Ain't nobody talking about this either. The bodies they're stacking in the front seven, like they are getting closer and closer to looking like Alabama and looking like Georgia along the lines of scrimmage. You are going to have talent to work with during your time at Tennessee. I think there's a lot of names for us to talk about. Before we get into it, as always, the Tennessee fans, let it fly in the comment section. It's going to be a really busy next couple of weeks. Got to make a defensive coordinator hire. You also feel like Tennessee's going to make some moves in the portal as well. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, the first call you have to make, if I had to pick any defensive coordinator across the country to run my defense, it would be Brian Haynes at Indiana. Now, look, this is not the first time we've seen Brian Haynes pop up on a defensive coordinator hot board. I think he's the best in the gosh darn country right now. It's really, really hard to get Brian Haynes to leave. What they're building, here's the thing with Curt Cignetti. Curt Cignetti is an awesome head coach. That's been made very clear over the last 2 years. People need to talk more about these coordinators, specifically Brian Haynes on defense. There's not a cleaner defense across the country than what Brian Haynes is running. Now, would Brian Haynes leave Indiana to come to Tennessee? I'm not sure. You make the call and you make it as attractive of an offer as possible. Make Brian Haynes say no to you. That's where you start. Now, here's a really, really good name I like, Ron English at Louisville. Everybody wants to talk about Jeff Brown, what he's doing with quarterbacks, what he's doing with offense. Ron English on the defensive side of the football, like that was the reason Louisville was making some noise in the 2025 year. Take a look at what Ron English has done, and I'll tell you this, he did it at Purdue. Now he's coming over to Louisville doing the same damn thing. And it's a really good fit, I think, for this Tennessee program. What I mean by that is, hey, you're playing defense opposite an offense that wants to multiply possessions, that wants to run really fast. I want a defensive coordinator that's aggressive, that's trying to create turnovers, that's trying to create negative plays, that's trying to steal possessions for this Tennessee offense. If you get a defensive coordinator that their philosophy is bend but don't break, it allows teams to slow it down on you. Stay on the football field. Keep your offense off. I want an aggressive defensive coordinator that's going to complement what we're trying to do on offense. Ron English is that guy. You start looking at the numbers and look, the talent at Louisville, it's not like they're littered with NFL draft picks. 4.7 yards per play allowed, 16th in the country. 3.6 yards per carry allowed, top 25 in the country. 6 yards per pass attempt allowed, 11th best in the country. 1.7 turnovers per game, top 20 in the country. Really good at evaluating names in the portal, and he's a really good recruiter. one of the most underrated defensive coordinators across the country is in Louisville, Kentucky. I think Tennessee should give him a call. Here's another one if you want to look in the SEC. And I think this is an important conversation is look, you want a defensive coordinator to hit at Tennessee, looking in the SEC at proven defensive coordinators that can make it work in this conference. An important conversation to have as well. LSU did a very similar thing 2 years ago, went out and got Blake Baker. That turned out to be a very good hire for LSU. Corey Batoon, since Blake Baker left Missouri, has taken over Missouri. That defense has not skipped a single beat. I mean, proving commodity in the SEC. You start looking at the numbers: 4.5 yards per play allowed, top 10 in the country; 3.2 yards per carry allowed, top 15 in the country; sacking the quarterback 9.6% of the time, top 5 in the country. Made some really good transfer portal additions, took over from a Blake Baker defense, did not skip a beat. This is a bona fide proven coordinator in this conference that I think's elite. Would make a lot of sense. Here's another one in the SEC, Clayton White, South Carolina. Now, the numbers are not as flashy for Clayton White at South Carolina in 2020. That was a personnel issue. Quite frankly, looking at that depth chart, what Clayton White did opposite an offense that flat out stunk this year, really good. And I'll say this, Clayton White, he's trying to become a head coach, and I don't think he was done any favors by South Carolina in 2025. I think the South Carolina fans would agree with that take. What I mean by that is the offense could not stay on the football field. The offense was consistently turning over the football. I don't think they gave him enough resources to go retool this defense in the portal. I don't think the personnel was where it needed to be for South Carolina on defense. They were still a top 50 defense in the country. You put them at Tennessee with the blue chip talent that they are collecting in the front seven, I think Clayton White could do a lot of good things at Tennessee over the next couple of years. Last name, I'll shout out Ryan Walters. What he's doing at Washington, this is one of the better DCs in the country as well. Now, did not work as a head coach at Purdue. As a Big Ten guy myself, it's a very hard program to win at. Was an elite defensive coordinator at Illinois. That's why he got the head coaching job at Purdue. Gets fired in 2 years, goes to Washington, takes over a defense that I don't think's there with talent. Top 25 defense in the country out there in the Big Ten. Really, really good defensive play caller. This is an opportunity for Tennessee. Tim Banks was, look, I don't think Tim Banks was a bad defensive coach. He was bad in 2025, but during his tenure at Tennessee, he was actually pretty dang good in my opinion. Go out and get an elite one. If you can get an elite defensive coordinator that gets this Tennessee defense right, and you make no mistake, this defense can be elite. With the talent that they're acquiring, it can be a very good defense. You get the right guy running the show with Josh Heupel continuing to score points on offense. That's how you get over the hump. You know, we're looking, and you want to win SEC championships. You want to win national championships. You got to be elite everywhere. You're elite on offense, elite coaching staff, elite talent, right? Can you get there with the coaching staff on defense? I think some of these names would be good hires. We'll see how it plays out. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.